Hello and welcome, Inspired Podcast community. This is your new episode. My name is Caroline, and my today's guest is Nicky Billou, and I'm so happy that he said yes to our interview today. How are you doing?
I am so happy to be here, blessed and grateful. Thank you, Caroline.
Wow, it's so amazing. I read your bio already, and I would love to introduce you to the audience. Of course, you are a Christian immigrant from the Middle East who is grateful to live in a free country. You believe that business is about people, not just numbers. With over 7 years of podcasting experience, you help entrepreneurs scale their businesses, become branded thought leaders, and achieve personal transformations. You are an international best-selling author of 10 books, including 2 New York Times bestsellers, and hosts the Thought Leader Revolution podcast and the Sovereign Man podcast with over 650 episodes recorded. You are passionate about helping entrepreneurs succeed while staying true to their values. And this is so amazing. Welcome to the Inspired Podcast, Nicky Billou.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Wow. So, my first question to you is, how has your journey as a Christian immigrant shaped your approach to business and helping others succeed?
Fantastic question. So let me tell you a little bit about my story. As
Mhm.
you said, I'm a Christian immigrant from the Middle East. I'm from Iran originally. When I was 11 years old, the Islamic Revolution took place in Iran, and my late father, God rest his soul, he could see the writing on the wall. This wasn't going to be a place to raise a Christian family anymore. So he and my mother, they sat down, they made up some plans, and they took me and my brothers. I have two brothers out of Iran, and eventually, it took a while. We settled where I now live in Toronto, in Canada. Now, back then, I was a little kid, right? I didn't want to leave my home. I didn't want to leave my friends. But looking back now, it was the single greatest thing mom and dad could have done for me and my two brothers. They took us from a legacy of tyranny to a legacy of freedom. I believe every human being inside their heart beats the living heart of freedom. Every human being wants to march to their own tune. They want to chart their own course, right? They don't want to be told what to do and how to do it. And I think if you're an entrepreneur, this really would resonate with you, because for you to be an entrepreneur, you need to have the freedom to speak your ideas. So that's free expression. You need to have the freedom to think your ideas. You need to have the freedom to implement your ideas. That's free enterprise. So freedom really is the bedrock of successful entrepreneurship. So I believe every human being who is an entrepreneur should believe in freedom and should stand up for freedom. And there are governments around the world today, they're trying to take some of our freedoms away. We should not let them do that. We should stand up for freedom. There should not be any government that's allowed to censor you because they don't like what you say on social media, and they lie and they call it misinformation. There should be no government that is allowed to tell you can't do this business, you can't have this bank account. So all those things I think are super, super important for us to understand. And my father, he was an entrepreneur. And if you met him, Caroline, you would love him, because if you were looking for work, he would sit you down, call all his entrepreneur friends until he got you a job. To start a business, he'd sit you down and he'd share all his best advices with you so you could go and start a business and be successful. And if you were trying to buy a car, a house, and the bank wouldn't give you quite enough money, he would top you up with a loan and he'd never let you pay it back. He'd say, "What are you talking about? Come on, get out of here." And people come to me and they say all the time, "Nicky, come on, your father, he sounds like he's like not true. That's like, sounds like a fairy tale." And I said, no, it's true. They said, "Who does that? Who gives money to people? Who gets them jobs? Who would do that sort of thing?" And I said, "Well, my dad, Napoleon Billou, the late, great Napoleon Billou." And they said, "Why? What's in it for him?" Well, I said, "I'll tell you. First of all, he was a Christian, a devout Christian. He believed he'd been blessed by God, and it was his duty as a Christian to share those blessings with other people. Secondly, he did it because he was rich and successful. And rich and successful people are able to help other people. Because if you're not rich and successful, you can't help other people." So that was him. Me, I wanted to be like my dad. I wanted to be somebody that was successful, that helped people. Because my father would always tell me, "Son, life isn't about money. It's about people." I'd go, "Okay, Dad." He said, "Business isn't about money. It's about people." And I go, "Wait a minute, Dad. I believed you when you said life isn't about money, but business, you need money for business. He said, that's true, son. But without people, there's no need for money. See, all businesses is solving problems for people for a profit. That's the purpose of business. Problems, people, profit. That's purpose. Acute problems for awesome people at an awesome profit. That's the awe-inspiring purpose of your business. And to me, that's why I became an entrepreneur. And my father would always tell me, son, believe in people. Everyone needs someone to believe in them. And you need to be that person. Remember that woman in front of you, that's someone's daughter, that's someone's wife, that's someone's sister. She is an amazing person. She's a hero to somebody. And maybe someone just like you disappointed her. It's your job to restore her faith in humanity. And it's your job to believe in her, because everybody needs that belief. You know, sometimes your belief in yourself wobbles. Sometimes you doubt yourself. You go, can I do this? Am I good enough? Imposter syndrome. And Dad says, when you believe in somebody, you get rid of that imposter syndrome for them. That little spark of belief turns into a roaring fire of belief. And their life goes from tragic to magic. And you were a part of that. So people ask me, what do? You write books, you do podcasts, you coach people, blah, blah, blah. All that's great. But you know what I do? I carry my father's legacy in a torch. And I'm a professional believer in people. I believe in you, and I believe that you have greatness in you. And it's my job, if you come across my path, to show you that and help you believe in that.
I love that. I love your vision, your purpose, what you said, what you shared about your father, that you carry his legacy. And I also love your entrepreneurial spirit, so to say, and the true meaning of what it means about responsibility as well, to believe in other people, because it's about people, not about the money. Money is a byproduct. Even less, you said it comes automatically, comes only because of the people, or through the people need money. You said this, and so I learned so much already. Thank you so much for sharing. And I have another question, of course. What are some key strategies you use to help entrepreneurs scale their businesses to 7 to 9 figures?
Wonderful question. So let me say this. The first thing is that many people in business that are good people, especially earlier on in their business, when their business is under $1 million, right? They're a little bit, shall we say, not so confident in their sales and marketing skills. They're good at what they do, but not in their sales and marketing skills. So, you know, when it comes to selling, some of them are like, oh my God, I don't want to be seen as pushy. I don't want to reek of commission breath the moment I walk into a room, right? So they go, I'm not going to go after that. I'm not going to say anything. And here's what I have to say. If you don't go after that, that person won't get your help. So they lose. You lose because you don't get the business. But then somebody who's unscrupulous, a charlatan marketer, will come in and take that business and they won't deliver. So it's bad for everybody. The sum total of goodness in the world comes down. So we have to help you reframe sales so you're not so scared of it. So I help people reframe selling into service. Nobody wants to be, Caroline, you don't want to be sold, do you? I don't want to be sold. But don't you love to be served by a caring person, a good human being? And you want to give them your money. Obviously you do, right? Because they helped you. And so just by showing people how to do that, I've helped people 5-fold, 10-fold their income. I had a client, really, 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 really good person. Okay. But he had a major problem. He didn't like selling. So he made very little money. And he was in a coach. Okay. And so I would say to him, hey, how much business did you get this week? You go, well, nothing. I go, why not? Because I nobody came to me. I go, no one's going to come to you. You have to go to them. And so he said, but I don't like selling. You know, I don't want to be one of those pushy people. So I said, do you like serving? He goes, I love serving. I love to serve. I go, okay, think of it as serving. So I helped him rewire his brain to think of it as serving. And remember, this guy is making under like $1,000 a month. Not very much money at all. That's not a lot of money in North America, you know. And when he started to really adopt that, he would go speak to people and he would talk to them and he would not back away. he wanted to serve them. And all of a sudden, he went from making less than $1,000 a month to making $5,000 a month, and then $10,000 a month, and then even $20,000 a month, just because he started to think about it as serving, not selling. Okay. And this guy's name was Chris. He was a very good guy. And that spark of belief in him that he was a good guy made him believe that he was not going to be pushy. He was just going to serve people. And that's how he approaches things. And he went from making almost no money to making $250,000 a year, over $20,000 a month. That's amazing. It's fantastic.
Yes.
So serve, don't sell. That's strategy number one.
Oh, thank you for sharing. This is really valuable if we apply it. Of course, we rewire our brain. We turn selling into serving. It's the polar opposite. I would say both. It's a change of perspective. You focus on the what do you give, not what you get, right? And then you have it, so to say. Okay. Another question. How do you balance personal transformation like your fitness journey with professional success, and why is it important for entrepreneurs?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I used to be very fit, but when I got into the world of coaching, I stopped focusing on it. And so I gained weight. Every year I put on weight until I was over 50 pounds overweight. And I reached what I call the point of disgust. And I decided that I needed help. So that's a decision. Everybody has to have a decision moment. And the point of disgust is a decision moment. And secondly, after that, I made a decision that I was going to do it, but I committed that it was okay. I was going to learn. I was going to go from being fat to fit, and I would do whatever I had to do. And then the third thing, this is very important, I decided to invest in myself by hiring a coach. So I hired a coach. This coach was someone I trusted because he'd help people my age get on bodybuilding stages. And so I started to work with him. I'll tell you something. I didn't even care how much he charged me. I didn't ask him what he was going to charge me. And he didn't charge very much, but I didn't care. What I wanted was the result. So I reached the point of disgust. I made a decision. I committed that I was going to be bad at this until I got good at it. I invested in myself. I hired a coach, and I was coachable, and I was resourceful. I took the time, energy, money to do this. So I lost almost 60 pounds, actually exactly 60 pounds. And I went on a bodybuilding competition, and I came in third place with people 20 years younger than me. And what it showed me, wow, I transformed my body. So what else can I do? What else am I not going after? That's a big deal. So I started to look at that in business, and I started to bring that to my clients. What else is your mindset not letting you do? So there was a client that came to me, and his name was Carl. And Carl, unfortunately, passed away a couple of years ago. But when he came to me, he wanted a better result for himself because he used to be a vice president, an executive vice president in a big manufacturing company. He made $350,000 a year, but he got burned out. So he quit and he became a coach, and he decided, hey, I'm not making as much money now. I'm only making $70,000 a year. And is it possible even? And I told him it was. And what we did is we found out that he was trying to be all things to all people. So we had him narrow his focus to just helping people with scaling law firms. That's it. And within a few months of doing that messaging, he started to get more clients, and he started to go from making $6,000 a month to making $50,000 a month. 6 months it took him there. And I tell you, the transformation was here first and then went into his business. So my own story is you have to have a personal transformation. You have to make a decision. You have to make a commitment. You have to be coachable. You have to invest in yourself. And then you have to be resourceful. And I noticed that in Carl's case, he adopted all four of those qualities. And that's how come he went from making $6,000 a month to $50,000 a month. as a coach, working half as much as he used to work when he was in corporations. So it was wonderful for him.
Wow, that's so impressive what you said. Thank you so much pointing out that you first change your mind or your mindset, and then it shows up inevitably, of course, on your outside world, because this is what you aimed for. This was your goal, of course, the result. It's always about the result. And you talked about your fitness. You lost 30 pounds. It's impressive as well. And then you won the competition. Not won, but third place is great for,
Yeah.
third place. Wow, I'm impressed. Thank you so much. What advice do you have for Christian business owners who want to grow their businesses while staying true to their faith?
So first and foremost, you shouldn't have to compromise your values to grow your business. And I think it's important, if you're a Christian business owner, that you work with coaches that share your values. I think that's very, very important, right? And you also need to understand that God intends for you to live an abundant life, not to live a poverty life. I know there's people that say, oh, no, God means for you to be poor. I don't agree with that. So if you're a Christian business owner, first, hire a coach who shares your values. Secondly, understand that God expects you to be successful. So I had a client who was a Christian coach, really good guy. And, he was having trouble reconciling those two. And I told him, well, start to pray on it. Prayed on it. And then he started to see the wisdom of, what God was bringing to him through me. And I told him, you need to go and work with Christians. So he said, oh my God, what are you talking about? Yep, work with Christians. So he started to work with Christian business owners himself. And boom, his business very quickly grew because he was sharing his values with clients who shared those values. And that worked out really, really well.
Oh, I love your advice. Thank you so much. I see the, how can you say this? The, I don't know the when you share the values you said, and also about to search for it, not because it is clear. Then when you are clear about your values, then you can reach out to people with the same values. You attract those people, of course. And I have one last question about your goals and intentions. Do you set goals for yourself or intentions, and what is one of your next goals or projects?
Well, I have a brand new book out. It's called Get Booked and Get Paid. How to generate 6 figures plus a year through podcast guesting. And basically, the book is a blueprint for how to be a guest on a podcast and generate leads, sales, and clients. So anybody who wants to master podcast guesting, this is the way to do it.
I love it. I am curious about the book. I will look it up, of course, and I put it on the list because I created a list with all the books that my podcast guests wrote, of course, or published. Yes, and you are a successful author as well. Thank you so much for our interview. And now it's time for your last thoughts to the audience, please.
The world has been a little bit crazy the last 4 or 5 years. And what I want to say to you is have faith, believe in yourself. And if your belief in yourself isn't strong right now, reach out to me. I'll believe in you because I do believe in you. And all you need is one person to believe in you and you'll win.
That's true. Thank you so much. Please reach out to Nicky. He's amazing. He has information that not many people have, and he's willing to share and support you, of course. Thank you so much for our interview.
Thank you, Caroline.
And see you in the next episode.